Brother Dre, and I just got a couple more questions I want to ask you. One of the main things that's bothering the community, especially our community, the black community, is high blood pressure. Now, a lot of us is running to the hospital for medication and getting even worse.
Right.
So now, what are the herbs that you would suggest to combat high blood pressure?
Okay, so to bring clarity, right? Because I think the biggest issue we're dealing with as a people is misinformation. I think that's the biggest sickness. So not so much the things given, but we're not just given the right information to apply and effectively heal ourselves. So high blood pressure isn't a sickness, it's more of a symptom. So something's causing the high blood pressure, you know what I mean? And your body's reaction to that thing is high blood pressure, elevated blood pressure. So they say the things that cause blood pressure, high blood pressure that is, would be vein and artery blockage, which is high cholesterol, potassium deficiency, which can cause sodium to spike up, and we know what sodium does in relation to blood pressure. They say a sluggish urinary tract, so when the kidneys aren't functioning right, when your body isn't, or rather when the kidney isn't eliminating fluid waste at the manner it's supposed to. It adds volume to the blood and that causes the heart to pump harder than it's supposed to. High blood pressure again. And lastly, the mental effects that turn physical. So like the effects of stress and anxiety and depression and how that causes your veins and your arteries and capillaries to tighten up and become narrow. And that being a precursor to high blood pressure as well. So understanding that, like, you know, pharmaceuticals tend to kind of treat the blood pressure when the blood pressure isn't the issue, but the underlying factors that I just explained.
Okay, so I see you got a lot of herbs over here.
Yes.
Can you show us a few herbs, you know, some of the things that we can take?
Okay, so some herbs for high blood pressure. One popular one is this one right here. This is called hawthorn berries. Now, hawthorn berries is very good because this kind of targets a lot of the underlying factors like we spoke about earlier. So this will deal with the vein and artery blockage. You know, this will deal with the potassium level, because they say most berries are rich in potassium, and hawthorn berries is a dried berry that you make tea out of.
All right.
The general rule to making this particular herb, you have ways you can do it. You can do it on a cup-by-cup basis, or you can make a big batch of it at a time and store it in your fridge and have it as an iced or warm tea. To make the big batch, you would do an ounce of this herb, and you would simmer it in 8 ounces of water, distilled water preferably. I'll get into that later as far as why distilled versus other waters. But a gallon of distilled water in a pot, an ounce of this herb in the pot of water. You let it simmer for about 7-10 minutes, and then you can let it sit overnight. Then beginning the next day, a person can do anywhere between 2 to 3 cups a day.
All right.
And,
any other ones that you suggest?
Yeah, it's too many.
Yeah, I know. I see. You got a lot of. It's like a lot of candy back there.
Yes. So this one here is called bilberry leaf, and this is another one. Now this is a leaf. So now leaves and berries are made somewhat different. So whereas the hawthorn berry was simmered and then steeped, this right here you just pour hot water on and let it draw. There's no real simmering necessary to do this one. But the same general approach, 1 teaspoon per 8 ounce cup, or 1 ounce can make you a gallon's worth.
So I see you got on here good for blood pressure, nerves, and diabetes.
Yes.
Now, diabetes is killing us, you know, along with high blood pressure. So this sounds like a perfect herb for a lot of us that do have these different ailments.
Right.
Because a lot of high blood pressure and diabetes sometimes go together.
Yes.
So, and then it affects the kidney.
Right.
You know, without them kidneys, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And you said a key thing too, because now how we spoke about earlier, how high blood pressure really isn't a sickness but a symptom. Diabetes is a root problem. That's an actual condition, and that tends to cause high blood pressure and circulatory issue and things like that. So the fact that this is good for diabetes will in turn have a benefactor when it comes to blood pressure. And I think it says here the eyes, because the circulatory system, your eyes, your extremities rather, so your head, you know, your hands, your feet, are affected by the health of your veins and your arteries leading to and from them. And they say with the diabetes now, I like to give information, right? So with diabetes now, the culprit really isn't the sugar, but it's more so your body's inability to digest it. You know, so your body needs salt, your body needs sugar, but your body needs to be able to digest that said salt and that said sugar. So this herb here, I know we're segueing from high blood pressure to diabetes, but everything's kind of combined and linked. This herb here will feed your pancreas gland, and your pancreas gland is responsible for secreting the insulin, and then that said insulin, like we know, justly, insulin helps to digest the glucose in the bloodstream, and then that will lead to the many other benefactors that this herb is good for.
So this would be good for me because I have sometimes problems seeing at night. My night vision is, my eyes have to adjust to the night.
Yes.
And sometimes using the phones, using the computers, sometimes you get that weary-eyedness.
Yes.
And it can affect your eyes. So this is something that I'm really going to look into before we leave tonight. I want some of that to take home.
And I got your bag for you too. There's no such thing as coincidence, but for whatever reason, I already had an ounce weighed out. So,
okay, great.
So that
great.
shows on your way out.
Great. So what else would you suggest? Because I see this is good for the circulation. You know, because I notice I have a lot of friends that have high blood, and they take the high blood pressure medication, and it affects their manhood,
yes.
which has to do with a lot of circulation. So what, because I know it starts with the diet.
Yes.
Once you gotta, the herbs is gonna work, but your diet has to be the most important thing. So those that's taking high blood pressure medication and having problems at home with their woman because now the medication is affecting their manhood, what would you suggest? Because we got the bilberry, we got the hawthorn. Now those are excellent right there for those two situations.
Manhood included.
For manhood included. Okay, good. So what else would you suggest?
Okay.
Because I know there's 1,000 things that the Heavenly Father gave us.
Yes.
And now we want to get back into the earth. Because a lot of times, like we've been preaching at the school, we have to get back into the rebirth. America has totally destroyed us as a people.
Right.
It destroyed us mentally, destroyed us physically, and now we're realizing that our dietary law was taught to us the wrong way.
Yes.
So we have to get off that dietary law the way that we were taught.
Right.
And we have to get back onto life.
Yes.
And this is right here is how we can do that right here.
Yeah, these are excellent assisters, because even with these, right, like, these assist the body. The body does the work, So whereas, again, with the pharmaceutical approach, they will bench the body and that pill will take over and do the work. And because of that, you become dependent on it. So people are well as long as they take the meds, but when they stop taking it, they go back to being where they never left. The herbs here will kind of awaken your inner ability to heal to where you're not dependent on it. And, you'll be good with or without them after a while.
All right.
But to just bring up a couple that are good for what we just spoke about. This right here is a popular one. So maca root powder. This right here can be taken as tea. It can be put in shakes. Some people do it in soups because it's a root, so it's a vegetable technically. So you can put it in soups and stuff like that as well. And this is very good. Similar to what we spoke about back then in reference to the lion paw. This is a glandular herb. Now your glands, they say we have a main 7 glands, aka chakras, depending on who you speak to. It's the same thing. But this will feed your reproductive glands. So us as men, the prostate; with women, the ovaries. And as this is being fed, or as they are being fed via this, it'll correct a lot of, reproductive issue, male and female alike. Because a lot of these herbs, in this class in particular, are marketed toward men, when they're good for men and women alike.
Okay, so I noticed that because maca root is big on the market right now.
Yes.
And I've noticed that a lot of athletes and a lot of people that, that's into physical fitness, going to the gym, you see a lot of that maca root is in it.
Yes.
So can you talk about this? Because, a few people in the gym, they were actually talking about they take maca root, it gives them a boost in energy. Not only is it good for when you're at home with your woman, but it's also a boost of energy.
Right.
With the strength, like you say stamina, and you say strength up here, that a lot of us really don't know about. A lot of us drinking Red Bull, you know, and running to the stores and all that other stuff
Right.
when we got it right here.
Yeah.
Strength,
yeah.
stamina, energy,
Mhm.
iodine,
Right.
which is good for the glands, you know, and your hormones,
Right.
zinc.
Right.
So this is a excellent product. So can you tell us a little bit more, especially when it comes to physical fitness?
Yeah, and what's funny is like you're posing questions and you're saying the answer in your statements. You know, so the fact that this is good for your hormones.
Okay.
You know, so they say muscular development is dependent on your testosterone level,
Okay.
and this is a hormonal regulator, I would say. So it'll boost the testosterone if you're lacking in it, but it won't take you over the top with it as well.
Okay.
And again, what separates this from even the Red Bull you mentioned, you know, this will spur natural energy that you can use circumstantially. So the energy will be there when you need it, but you're able to rest when you need to, rather than Red Bull. Once it's there, you're there, and then you're just up until it wears off.
Mhm.
So that's what separates this versus Red Bull and a lot of those stimulating drinks that people are, I guess, learning now aren't that healthy for them. But once upon a time, it was like the crave, and that's what everybody did.
Okay. Cool.
If that answered your question, hopefully that answered your
Yeah,
question.
that was wonderful right there.
Okay.
You know, so we just like I said, we're trying to get back into what's good for us. You know, like
So, sorry to cut you, brother. Also, too, diet transcends eating. You know, like there's also like the mental diet. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, when they have like reproductive issues, us as men in particular, a lot of times it could be a mental one. You know what I mean? So what you feed your mind, you know, what you feed your body, you know, what you feed your spirit, you know, what you feed your emotional body, all of those play a part in the appearance of being well or sick. You know, and then again, your brain now has two glands, your pineal and pituitary. So this will effectively feed your mind as well as the reproductive side of things too, because they're linked as well.
okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
All right.